Here we go. Welcome everyone to World of Wildlife. This year is just jumping by, isn't it? We're already in August, which seems just unreal. So today we're talking a little bit about World of Wildlife underwater. So you'll see that my background and this background matches what we're talking about a little bit today. So the way the World Wildlife works is I'll give you an update on what I've been doing. For those of you I don't know, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit. Then I'll pass over to my co-host, Dr. Wong, who is the founder and director of the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre in Borneo, which is in the Malaysian part of Borneo. After that, we'll pass over to our guest speaker, who will be Pablo, and he's talking all about marine tourism and marine biology and on the Great Barrier Reef and in other parts of Queensland, specifically about ReefCheck. All right, let's get started then, shall we? Oh, jumped too hard. For those of you who don't know me, I write books. I write books about wildlife. Most of those are about my co-host, Dr. Wong or Wildlife Wong. So they're all about his adventures with different animals in the middle of the jungle in Borneo. And those are suitable books for ages 8 to 12. The most recent book is called Curious Kai Asks Why. And this one's about more of the animals in my home of Australia. So Curious Kai is a child with endless questions about wildlife who goes in search of the real scientists who can answer her questions. She travels all through Queensland, learning about spectacled flying foxes, about cassowaries, which I know that some of you have probably close to where you live in Cairns. She learns about manta rays and bilbies, all sorts of things. Okay, so I'm in the process now of writing the next Curious Kai book. Those of you who are homeschooled are going to love the title, I think, because it's called Curious Kai Quits School. Pretty good, cool. So we'll see what happens with that one, and I'll keep you posted as we go along. So I have been busy this month. Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. I've been busy this month because I actually have been running a conference which is not wildlife based. So I haven't done a lot with wildlife, but I want to tell you what's coming up in the next month, because this is probably the busiest month for a children's author in Australia. The first one is next week is Science Week. Okay, and Science Week is big throughout schools, homeschools, everything in Australia. I've put some QR codes on this slide for those of you that might want to have a look at some of the resources that are provided, especially for those of you as homeschoolers who might want to actually engage with this idea of Science Week. So next week, on Sunday, I'll be heading off to Ipswich in Queensland and spending an entire week going to schools. Got about 12 schools during the week of Science Week and doing workshops in those schools around both the Wildlife Wong series and the Curious Kai. So that's a really exciting week for me. But what happens then in August is it's followed directly by Book Week. So if I've still got a voice by the end of Science Week, I'll be in schools all day, every single day during Book Week as well, both in Brisbane and in the Sunshine Coast, meeting children, doing workshops, and hopefully connecting kids to nature. So one of the things that we've done this year is kind of cool. So these are 2 potential Book Week costumes from my books. Wong, does it look like you? What do you reckon? You're on mute.
Probably not.
A
He's
little
way
bit.
too young.
It
Well,
looks a little bit like
a little bit.
a baby Wong. So this is
Okay.
this is a potential costume for the children in Australia who want to go to a Book Week parade dressed as Wildlife Wong. This is what we're suggesting as a possible outfit. The second outfit that we're suggesting there is if anyone wants to go to Book Week parade as Curious Kai. All right, so some ideas. Now, if any of you know of schools that would like these, let me know. I can send them some information. I can send them my blog, which has some details on how they can create these costumes. But also, if any people choose to buy any of my books during Book Week and Science Week, and they send me a picture of them dressed up in one of these costumes, then I'll give them 50% off the book. So all you have to do is send me a picture first. Sound pretty good? Okay. It probably works for adults too if you want to dress up, just in case. The other thing I've got going on this month is in September 6th is my second Plant and Sip workshop. This is at Fairhill Nursery, and it takes place at noon at Fairhill Nursery on the Sunshine Coast, where people learn about how a rainforest works and how that system is basically emulated by a terrarium. We build a terrarium, we learn about the plants that are in that terrarium, and have a bit of fun with our friends along the way. So there are still spots available on that one. If anyone's interested, then all you have to do is scan this code. It'll take you right to the Rego page. All right. That's probably me, I think. So I would like to pass over to my co-host here, Dr. Wong Suti, founder of the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre and the hero of the majority of my books.
All right.
Over to you, Wong. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so okay, the last month since we last spoke, what's going on? I got a bad news. One of our bears passed away. We have not made the announcement yet. She passed away last week. Out of the sudden, is the bears is called Siew. Yeah, and then
That's sad to hear.
yeah. So
Do you
this
know
year
what caused it, Wong?
well, she got hemorrhagic on his neck and his back. It seems like a fall from a tree or something like that. So that could cause, the obstructions of the blood flows, and then yeah. So he was in a 10K. Yeah, it's relatively big cage, big forest enclosure. So yeah, so that was unfortunate, and then it also makes me like, in the past I said, when we see sun bear can climb tree all the way to the treetop, and actually there's a risk from that kind of tree climbing. Just like orangutans, they were on top of the canopy all the times, and there has been studies found out that the orangutan actually do fall from tree and then develop, old injuries, bone fractures, but heal and that sort of thing in the forest. And then for the sun bears also have this kind of problem because last year where Itam, the bears that we released, was found dead. We suspect that she fall from a tree as well. Her hip
What can be
bones
done
and
about that, Wong? Because obviously you can't stop them climbing in the rainforest pen. But
yeah,
what
no,
what
no.
can you do
Mm.
to stop or reduce the risk?
To be honest, I
Mm,
seriously do not know. You see, our bears have lived in our forest enclosure for what? For 14 years now,
mm.
and 14 years we have one documented fall from Mary, where I was filming her and then she slip and fall down. And then this one is literally the second case. You see, out of what, 14 years,
It's
uh,
not a huge risk then.
yeah, not is yeah. And then we see all our bears, climbing tree every day. Romolina climbing tree every days. Um, Definitely there is a risk, but I think the risk is very, 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 very small. And right now, this is the second case that we know of where a bears might hurt, bring fatal, yeah,
Mm.
from a tree fall. And if you look at how tall is our tree, any animals that fall from like 20 meters, 30 meters above the ground directly hit on the ground, yeah, it's
Yeah,
going to
they're
be,
also not good, are they?
yeah, it's also not good. And then you see the probability is there, but it's going to be very, very small. Just looking at our statistics, 14 years, we got so many bears, they have climbed trees, and then and yeah, and then this kind of thing
The
still
total
happen.
number of bears you've had now is in the high 60s or 70s now. What are we looking at?
74, out of
74.
the last 18 years when
Mm.
we started this project. So we have take care of 74 bears, and then
Yeah,
including Luna, who was born here, which is 75 bears.
yeah.
Yeah, 75 bears, two fatal from tree fall, and then
Mhm.
one, Mary, she was like limping for a few days. Yeah, but that tree is relatively short, maybe like 6 meters or so above the ground.
It's
Yeah,
a really difficult balance, isn't it? Because having the trees
mm,
and the wild
yeah,
habitat is really good for their mental health and grow and learning their skills. but
Yeah.
obviously it comes with risk. It's sort of like having a child in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So that's why, because they live in this kind of habitat, and then we are so proud of, oh, we have the real forest and have the bears to climb the trees to harvest the fruit directly from tree and all of that. And yet this kind of thing happened. And then, but we cannot say is that because of this one or two, very rare incident, we stop the bears from climbing trees, isn't it? So that would be
Yeah.
unfair as well, because in the wild we knows that bears do climb trees and they are very arboreal. They spend a lot of times on tree and this sort of thing. So yeah,
It must be hard
yeah,
for the team, I imagine.
yeah, it's an accident where we don't want to see. Yeah, a day before, 2 days before, when we see Sue, she's still okay, everything is still normal, and then the following day she did not come back well, to the bear house, and then on the third day morning, yeah, we saw his carcass, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
yeah, so
sorry to
it's
hear that.
mm-hmm,
Sorry to
yeah,
hear that. Can you
yeah,
now, in addition to the Borneo and Sun Bear Conservation Centre in Cephalop, you've got Camp Tenham in the
yeah,
middle of Tarbin Wildlife Reserve, where you're
mm-hmm,
actually soft releasing
yeah,
um,
yeah,
that young bears. So how's
yeah.
that project? You've got one bear
Well,
that's not coming home at all, right?
yeah, yeah. So Tinom, the one that we sent to Tabin back in 2024,
Mm,
she is did not come back anyway. She already established a home range in the Tabin Forest Reserve, and then our team still go and check on her from time to time, and which is really good. 2 months ago, I went to see her. That morning, she was bitten by a wild bear, and then I went there like last week, 2 weeks
mm,
ago. Yeah, 1st of August, I think. Yeah, and then yeah, her wound is healed. You
good.
know, meaning that when she grow up in that environment, she need to become a wild bearish, and she will get interactions with the wild bears, and sometimes they got bullied. They need to stay
Yeah,
strong to fight against, and this is how all
that's how she
animals
learns.
yeah, they actually
Yeah,
learn how to become a wild bear again. So which is good. I mean, yeah, she's very, very independent now. She's very easy to work with compared to other bears. And then we have high hope of her. We still, you know, uh, uh, follow her, track her down and check what's going on from time to time. So if we continue to do that for the next several years, meaning that we can document the whole life history, natural history of a sun bears. If she made it with a wild male bear and then have a baby, then we can document it, all of this story. So hopefully in the next few years we can paint a complete pictures of how sun bear live in the forest. Yeah.
fabulous.
And yeah, so that is our first bear. And then the second bear is called Pitang. No, it's called
I've forgotten
Pitang.
to.
Yeah, Pitang.
You know,
Yeah, and then we sent her to last year. No, yeah, last year January. So she has been living in the forest for 1.5 years now. She's getting big, but she still come back to Camp Not Yet Independent yet. And then 1.5 months ago, we sent our third bear called Manja, who we rescue on early this year, February 9 this year. So right now, Camp Tinom still occupied with two bears, and then the other one is already live
in the forest.
independent, yeah, in the forest.
Yeah,
And then our team is still busy running around taking care of these three bears with a 5 people team. And then few weeks I was there last week, and the elephant herd was there, so it was quite scary, when the elephants is nearby. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's the challenge. And then as of BSPCC right now is the peak season for tourists. So
yeah,
every day we have a lot of tourists come here to see our bears, which is a good thing. That's why I want to try to convince the governments, you need to protect the forests because and the wildlife too, because these draw in nature-based tourists, and we can generate revenues. The local people can gain jobs, and then so that they don't have to poach. Yeah. So
yeah.
through nature-based tourism, we can enhance the work of conservation. Conservation is all caused by people. If we just address the wildlife issue and not address the root cause, which is human issue, I don't think it's going to work. Yeah, because you cannot deny that first there are so many people in this part of the world, and many people in this part of the world are the poor people, low income. Yeah, if they cannot get jobs
Absolutely.
elsewhere, they would head back to the forest and then do hunting and poaching again.
Yeah. I can see a lot of people nodding their heads while you say that, Wong.
Yeah, that's the reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, Pablo and Linda and David, you know, you've had that sort of experience too, haven't you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question for Wong?
I've got lots of questions about the science and bears.
Go on.
That's
choose one. Choose one, Pablo.
Okay. I'm not sure if you know me, Wong, but I'm a student who studied at the University of the Sunshine Coast under Sarah, under various other teachers doing animal ecology. And one of them,
wonderful.
I remember she presented a talk once on the satellite tracks of your bears, I think.
Okay. So Beth.
Yes, Beth Brunton.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how that project's going, if you have been able to track them for long times and uncover what their behaviors are like in the forest.
So those bears that she helped us to analyze was the heart release bears, in total 12 of them, that we had released, rescued, rehabilitated sun bears, and then Beth helped us to analyze the data, the ranging pattern, and things like that. And then we published a paper 3 years ago, I think. Yeah, 3 years ago. So it used our existing data, and then actually the end result was actually not so great. I mean, if you want to ask me our success rate for our hard release program, I would say about 30 to 40%, not that great. So that's why it makes me believe that I have to try a different way, which is a soft release. Although it takes more efforts and lots of money, and but I think it's the right thing to do. At the same time, trying to stop people from hunting and poaching bears. So that is the social aspect of wildlife conservation, dealing with, in this part of the world, dealing with the big landscape where there's a lot of poor people, and then everybody try to make a living. If not, they get a proper job, then they go to collect and harvest natural resources.
One of the good takeaways from that research, wasn't it? Was to learn that the soft release is a much better option than the hard release.
Yes. Well, give me another few more years to state that, to make that statement, because we're still in the learning curve. I have to say. But so far so good. Finger crossed. But there's still a lot of challenges.
And we've still got students working with you, don't we? Because Ilka's just finished her honours thesis with work at and Ilka's going to be our guest speaker again next month. So that's very cool.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Give us a bit of an update on what's going on. Yeah. So still that MOU that was organised between you and the university is still producing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it still needs a lot of people's help, Yeah.
Good question. I've got a question actually for Linda. So Linda, is there any evidence of koalas falling out of trees?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We frequently hear about koalas that have fallen from trees, either because they just slipped, or whether there was a territorial issue between a dominant male and perhaps a male juvenile. That koalas are very territorial, especially during breeding season. But from time to time, we do see a koala that's just accidentally fallen from a tree, and we've lost them that way. But it happens.
Yeah.
Same thing, here beside orangutans, gibbon also, when they do this crazy stunt swing from tree to tree, if they grab a small branch and the small branch break, and if she fell, if there's no other tree branches below him or her, then the drop is like 50
Yeah.
meters. Nothing can survive that kind of drops. And it also proved that there are
Yeah.
gravities, you know.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
easier when you produce do it with an apple, I reckon, rather than an orangutan.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, thank you, Wong. That's really awesome. It's good to know that things are going really well with some areas, and our hearts go out to you for the negative things that are happening. But keep going, keep going. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now and introduce Pablo, who is a past student of mine, as he's just said. It's really wonderful to have watched Pablo grow from strength to strength, from the classroom to outside the classroom. So Pablo is a marine scientist, studied animal ecology, and he has worked also at Lady Elliot Island, where my character, Curious Kai, goes to learn about manta rays. He was a marine biologist and skipper there with ReefCheck Australia for 3 years as an event manager and team leader as well. So we're going to hear all about some of those adventures. Please welcome him, and I'll take my screen off so Pablo can share his. Looks like you're on.
Thank you. Lena, did you have a question for Wong before we moved on? Or you want to ask that afterwards?
Oh, did I miss that? Sorry, Lena.
Yeah, that's okay.
My name's Pascal, and I was wondering, for sun bears, what is the natural food source in the world that they eat?
Oh, okay. Good questions. Everything that can be considered as food, from a wide variety of fruits, invertebrates, anything that can move, are all considered as sun bear food because they are not picky. You know, they live in a forest where the forest productivity is actually very low. Fruit production is very low, so they have to eat everything, including termites, ants, honey is their favorite food, and then a wide variety of fruits. Here in this forest, the forest of Borneo, we have like more than 3,000 species of trees, and then and many of them actually bear fruits. So sun bears eat those fruits. They are opportunistic feeder. They also eat meat, but they are not a good predators. Like they don't hunt pigs or deer or macaque. But if they come across a carcass, they will eat it. If they come across a slow moving object, other animals like a tortoise, they will eat it. And then
So
in
basically,
those
they're
bears,
not picky eaters then.
yeah, no. So if there's those bears that live on the mangrove, they can pick up clam and they can pick up snail, and all of these are bear food. Yeah.
That was a lovely, really good question.
Thank you.
That's all right. One of the Wong and I worked on a book together called Wildlife Wong and the Fig Wasp, and that's all about figs because there are 900 different types of figs, and fig is like the grocery store really in the forest, isn't it, Wong? It's basically the figs produce fruit all year round, and most of the animals know where to find them. So that's a good one too. Have a look at that. Do we have any other questions that I missed? I'm sorry.
No, I don't think so.
Looking good. All right, Pablo, you're on again.
Thank you. It's very cool hearing about the terrestrial world and terrestrial conservation for a change, because as a marine biologist, I'm very focused on fish and whales and sharks, and I don't have the problem of my animals falling out of trees. So it's different to hear about that, which is cool. But anyway, I'll get along with it. I think everyone can see my screen.
All good.
Hi, floating media controls. So, hello everyone. My name is Pablo, and thank you for the introduction before, Sarah. I'm going to be chatting to you a bit about a non-for-profit organization here in Australia, as well as the world, called ReefCheck. So quickly, just a little bit about me. Normally, as a marine biologist, I get to work with marine megafauna. I've kind of accidentally fallen into this world of analyzing marine megafauna movement as a young scientist, just because studying at the University of the Sunshine Coast, it was a very small uni, and we had lots of time to annoy teachers, and they studied these really cool, big, large animals like whales and sharks and lots of other cool things. And at the same time, I learned about some grassroots non-for-profit conservation that was happening in the region as well, which is the Sunshine Coast. Now, to provide a bit of context as to what we do and why we do it, you need to understand how big the Great Barrier Reef is. So for those who don't know, it's really big. It extends a couple thousand kilometers across the east coast of Australia, and it has one of the highest numbers in biodiversity of different species in that area as well. And to monitor that for scientists is very expensive. To be able to do that on such a broad scale over really long time periods as well is something, as we were just talking about, it costs a lot of money to run over multiple years. And more often than not, research projects kind of are very intense for very short periods of time. And so there's this gap in understanding our natural environment over long periods of time, which is where citizen science comes in. So for those who don't know what citizen science is, it's the public participation in science, usually in the data collection side of things. So what ReefCheck Australia does is capitalize on this, and it also uses a standardized approach across the entire world. So ReefCheck, I think, spans across around 90 different countries and territories, from Malaysia and Indonesia all the way over to the US, the Caribbean. I've traveled all over the world and tell people I work with ReefCheck, and they have a local arm of that, which is really cool. And one of our main goals as well is to present information and incorporate the local community in helping get that information to create environmental stewardship. Because, as Wong was talking about before, I think it's not enough nowadays to just tell people what science we did and get them interested that way. We need to connect them with it and empower them by involving them if they're interested, the general public. So globally, we started around 1996, and I know in the early 2000s is when ReefCheck in Australia kicked off. And what ReefCheck does is we go out and we engage the local community in events and activities. We also go out and survey reefs. So we've trained over 300 volunteers in the last 15 to 20 years, and conducted over like hundreds and hundreds of surveys. So a lot. I haven't personally been involved in all of this. I got involved with ReefCheck in 2019 as a volunteer. And a couple of years later, my manager offered for me to step up a role into becoming a team leader, which was really wonderful. And I've been doing that for the last 3 to 4 years, which is really cool. So across Queensland, we have around 70 different sites, and we focus on areas where there's lots of coral to go and monitor, and where we have volunteers to be able to cover that. So historically, we've worked in Western Australia, and we do surveys in the northern GBR, so up in the Whitsundays and Cairns. But most of our team is based in Southeast Queensland, including me on the Sunshine Coast. So that's where we do a lot of our work. Now, what do we actually do? When we're underwater, if you imagine you have a tape measure and you kind of tie it to a rock and you pull that tape measure out, and that tape measure is around 100 meters long. What we're going to do is I'll lay out a tape measure and I might count fish while laying that tape measure. And I have a buddy with me who swims behind me, and they count the invertebrates. And then someone else counts the amount of marine debris or any human impacts that we see. And that could be things like coral bleaching, when a coral is going white, It could be invasive species like crown of thorns starfish, which is a starfish that eats coral, and too much of that can decimate coral reefs, as well as some other things. Boat anchor strikes, we record if we do see it, which is a little bit harder to do. And we combine all of that information and we try to get to those sites at least once a year. So let me see if yes, cool. We get to see lots of really cool things. This here is a shark, actually. So this is called a wobbegong shark. It's an Aboriginal word here in Australia, which means bearded man. And they have all of these they pretty much have a beard on the front of their mouth, which is just over here. They're very well camouflaged. The tail is hiding in this seaweed behind here, which is really cool. This is the tape measure that kind of goes through there to get a bit of an idea as to what it looks like. We do get to see lots of really, really cute animals. I couldn't do a presentation without talking about nudibranchs. They are pretty much an underwater Pokemon, if you haven't heard of them before. This here, I took this photo on the Sunshine Coast. All these photos are mine. And its head is kind of upside down this way. This is kind of its tail right here, which is really cool. There's over 3,000 species of nudibranchs in the world, and we've found 800 of them in like 500 meters in a little river here on the Sunshine Coast. And this one looks like a galaxy, which is incredible. This one was in, Chile, I found, not doing a reef check survey, but another one. But the things that we do get to see and experience when we are underwater are absolutely mesmerizing. So animals like this kind of help us give the environment a bit of a health score or a rating. The same way that we go to a doctor and get a checkup, we're kind of checking in on the environment with these key indicators to see whether or not it is doing good or it's doing bad. And there's a little video I think I put in here as well. Yes, that was us last week in Moreton Bay. Very, very shallow, but there's me laying a line and there's someone behind way over that way, actually recording more information about counting fish and things like that. This is the team that I normally work with, as well as our surveying sheets. So we do write underwater with what we call magic pencils, because as you can imagine, everything needs to be able to withstand wetness. So we've got expensive paper and pencils, and we kind of record everything as we go underwater. If you are interested in becoming a ReefCheck Australia diver, you can. So you obviously need to be able to scuba dive first, which is a pretty big prerequisite. And you need to have some certain qualifications as a scuba diver. But the training that we do is a nationally accredited training. So we've got online theory, where we kind of teach you about coral reef ecology, the impacts that our reefs are currently experiencing, what sort of things you might be expected to find or see, and how to choose what data to record when you do see those things. And then we get out into the water and do some training. And I was really interested in this at first simply because it was free scuba diving. If you are a scuba diver, you know it's not cheap. And so to get a local community come together and to go out diving, to kind of catch up with each other, and to do that in the name of conservation really, really interested me. So once you get your certification, we have a bit of a group. And every time we need to go out and survey a site, we'll ask if anyone's available to come with us. Sometimes we have 5 or 6 people. Sometimes it's just 2 people going out and doing that survey. Now, we do understand that not everyone can be a scuba diver. And the other part of what ReefCheck Australia does is the community engagement part. And we want to try and be as inclusive as possible within our citizen science activities. So we created something called ReefSearch, which is this little blue slate down here that you see. It's for anyone who wants to head down to the beach and collect some kind of long-term data on sites. So it's another citizen science program that we host on our website, where you head down to the beach and you either go snorkeling or you can just walk along the rocks at low tide to see if you can find any invertebrates hiding in any of the little crevices. And you can do that as often or as little as you like. So we encourage people to kind of adopt an area. I've always thought about adopting my local beach and going down there once a year and running a little survey myself, just recording some basic environmental variables like the temperature of the water, what time of the day I went, and then really simply writing down how many fish I saw and if I saw any coral or if I saw bleaching and things like that. And if you do that over 5 to 10 years, you can begin to see some really, really interesting trends on whether coral goes up or down over time, and how this kind of pans out across different variables like temperature and things like that. Here is me and the team at some of the local community events. So we always try and get people engaged with lots of games or backdrops. We try to get people to pledge reducing their impact on their environment. We are a marine-based kind of NGO, but we understand this problem is a lot bigger, really, and it expands into being able to take reusable bags to the shopping center, and things like that. We do also do lots of beach cleanups. So if you are an Australian, you probably will have heard of Tangaroa Blue. It's another non-for-profit that focuses on cleaning beaches. And so we do travel all over Australia, well, all over Queensland at least, to lots of regional locations to do some beach cleanups, and talk to the community about where we kind of find hotspots of rubbish and how we can stay on top of that, and how you can log that online as well. And here's some of the photos of us cleaning the beach. There's a balloon in here, I think, which took a very long time to clean up. We sort all of these things and then weigh them. So this is actually data that you can help collect just by literally going picking up rubbish at the beach and then sorting it out into lots of different categories like a bleaching bottle or hard plastic pieces or bottle caps and ropes. And then that all gets collected and sent to the Tangaroa Blue, the AMDI database. So yeah, we've been doing that for a very long time, for years and years, collecting hundreds of kilos, if not tons, of rubbish off the beaches as well. These are the main spots that our volunteers are kind of located in Queensland as well as Gold Coast. So if you are interested in getting involved in ReefCheck Australia at all, and you are in any one of these locations, feel free to follow us on any social media or hop on our website and check how you can kind of get involved. We do always try to be as active as possible with our community events, whether that's a beach cleanup or a snorkel or just kind of supporting someone else in a local community event. We're there. And talking about a little bit more data, in Southeast Queensland, through the surveys that we've actually conducted, we've been able to find out that between the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast, here in Australia, we have more coral cover than the entire Caribbean combined. And we've only been able to do that by going out and surveying these reefs for such a long time period. And we now have the longest running study of coral monitoring in the Sunshine Coast. There's no one else that's been recording the long-term impacts and effects and changes over time as much as we have. We do collaborate with scientists, with local councils, with local businesses across all of the things that I've just talked about, from going out and surveying to developing educational materials, from how to reduce microplastics entering the marine ecosystem to pollution impacts. And this here is just a screenshot of my rubbish metrics, funnily enough. I've online officially collected 85 kilos of rubbish across 9 different cleanups that we've logged with the AMDI database, which means that we've picked up collectively 1,500 pieces of rubbish, which didn't include any of the photos that you saw earlier. So it's really, really wonderful to, do something, get out there, go enjoy your natural environment. But to be doing that with a conservation twist as well, I really, really love. And to be able to see the impacts that you're leaving, a clean beach when you go home, or a clean ocean when you get out of the water, it's a really rewarding thing. Our Reef Ambassador program has also been studied, and we've shown that we've not only improved people's connections within their local community and environmental stewardship, but we've educated them as well. So a lot of the money that we receive from the government is to help educate the local community on climate change impacts, from the threats to reefs, just general ecology and biology of coral reefs, as well as the actions individuals, everyday individuals, can make to help reduce their impact, which is a really positive outcome. I know these might sound like obvious things, but more often than not, when you are trying to do community engagement and get people involved in local activities, every small engagement is a huge win. So it takes an enormous amount of work to be able to pull all of this off, really, as I'm sure a lot of you know. And how it has helped me personally, I'll finish up quickly. In a lot of different ways, it's given me an enormous amount of confidence to be able to work underwater. That's me recording substrate underwater. I've been able to travel internationally because of my commitments with ReefCheck Australia. So it's professionally helped me a lot as well. And it's provided me with lots of opportunities to meet really, really wonderful people in our community as well, who share the same ideas and passions and goals as you do. Okay. So that's about it for me. I'm going to stop talking. These are the 4 ways that I've already told you about how you can kind of get involved. And I wanted to just leave this here as a little reminder for anyone, as well as the little link to our website, which is down below as well. So does anyone have any questions?
Oh, thank you. That was magnificent. I'm sure we've got heaps of them. Who's got a question?
I do, Pablo.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
fire away.
That was really good. I enjoyed that. The concept of Reef Ambassador. Are you still? So I've got 2 questions. One is about the Reef Ambassador. So I'm in Moreton Bay, and there's some really interesting spots around Redcliffe, Deception Bay, etc.
Yep, be right there.
Are you still training people, the Reef Ambassadors?
Yes, definitely. So the Reef Ambassador is people who don't get in the water per se. They are just local legends who come and chat to anyone who's interested in listening about what I've just been talking to you about, really, about climate science, about education, and things like that. If you want to hop online, we have a form that you can fill out where we'll contact you when we're planning on running a reef ambassador training, we generally run them once every couple of months, just when we get enough numbers to be able to make it worthwhile for staff to train people. So yes, we always are interested in getting people involved as reef ambassadors as well as survey divers. So if you're a PADI rescue diver with 25 dives or more, you can get involved underwater as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
And
Wong, you've got one, or you've got another one?
yeah, I did have a second
Go for it,
question.
Paul.
Right, so it talks about the cleans, right? So I'm with Sea Shepherd, Pablo. So we do
Awesome.
a lot of cleans as well.
Yeah.
The concept of microplastics is becoming a real issue now, because you can look at a beach and it looks clean, but it's actually got heaps of microplastics in there. So is that something that you might be starting to focus on, where you actually take an area of a beach and just start to analyze what potentially is going on?
Yes, wonderful question. Great question. There is someone already doing this, and I've forgotten their name. I can't for the life of me think of them. But they have a program, a citizen science program, sampling for microplastics. Now, the solution to that problem isn't here yet. Getting microplastics out of sand is sieving sand pretty much, and for sand-colored plastics, you need a microscope to go through and actually differentiate them. So it is a bit of an uphill battle there. What we try to do is just triage this as much as possible. So when I am out on the beach cleaning, pick up as much as you can before it degrades. And the solution to that, hopefully, science will solve in the near future. So
Yeah.
So that's one way we can all help, isn't it, really? It's just
Yeah.
pick up plastic everywhere.
yes,
Yeah, good
great
point.
question.
Cool. Good.
Well done, Paul. Wong, what was your question?
Okay, so looking at, you see, the whole thing is, the whole world is talking about global climatic change, global warmings, and we heard about, coral bleaching and that sort of thing. And then, and I think last year when I was doing a snorkeling um, somewhere in Sabah, and I feel like, whoa, the water is really, really hot. It's like, in a hot tub.
Mhm.
And of course, I see the coral bleaching, with my own eye. And looking, I mean, given that your experience, who have been doing, a lot of marine works, and what is your perspective, or how uh, hopeful you think the world will be in the next, say, 10 years or so, if this trend continue?
Thank you for the very small question. It is a very good question, and there is no simple answer to that. How hopeful I am on the persistence of coral reefs into the future, I am very hopeful, for the simple idea that nature abhors a vacuum. And that idea can be translated into a forest as quickly as it is a coral reef ecosystem. If you hop on a reef and there's lots of space, of dead things perhaps, or just emptiness, something is going to move into there. Now, it might not be the same as what was there beforehand, but it's going to be new life. So the coral reefs that we have now are not the same as they were 50 years ago. And the same idea that the rainforests in Southeast Asia are not the same size as they were 50 years ago. And we can't undo what we've already done, but we can mitigate, and we can protect, we can restore, we can do all sorts of different things towards slowing down those processes, looking at if new coral species are more resilient to climate change, which is what a lot of Australian researchers are kind of scrambling to do. You can look at how different ecosystems might mix into the future. In Southeast Queensland, we're on the border of like subtropical and temperate water, which just means really cold and kind of middle cold and kind of warm up in northern Queensland, and how all of those different habitats are going to mix with each other might be more beneficial than it was 20 years ago. So I do have hope that we're going to continue seeing the beautiful things that we do, but it's only through trying our best across every possible way that we can that we kind of reduce our impact on coral reefs, that we mitigate problems, and that we kind of strive towards the best future that we can. Because trying to take on something like global CO2 emissions or rising temperatures is no small thing. It's one of the largest problems that we have for climate change.
And it can breed apathy, can't it? Because it's such a big thing, you know.
Yeah.
So one of the things I learned from Wong was that one person can make a difference. You just make a difference in your little bit. And if everyone makes a difference in their little bit, then we actually get there. So you're doing exactly that, Pablo. It's excellent work.
Yeah, local steps make global change, and hear that kind of quote from lots of different people across lots of different
absolutely
ideas.
Madura, you've got your hand up.
Thank you, Zara. Pablo, that was fabulous. My question is, Pablo, now I am an international scholar representing East Asia. So my teaching and my research engagement is East Asia and the Pacific region. I was in Australia as a part of my postdoctoral program, but my question is, I am now representing Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, China, Korea as a part of my teaching in Vietnam because that's my audience. We have noticed that these economies are the visitor economy for most of the tourist destinations, even including Australia.
Mhm.
So I saw that there is a component called we could contribute on the ground for your good work that you all are doing. Is there any way that we could get these students engaged and so then we can build an awareness, or else we could get something done from them because they are tourism management students. They are studying sustainable tourism as well. So if there is anything that we could get these young adults as a part of your work representing East Asia, do let me know. So then I can get them on board as a pilot project or something, so then we can work together. Is there anything that comes to your mind at the moment? If not, just I'll give my email address. Do write to me later on.
Yeah, great question and great idea. Yes, is the short answer. There always is. So we have a similar project with high school students, not undergraduates, that's just kicked off here on the Sunshine Coast, where we're getting students to go out with those little slates. Everyone jumps in the water to go for a little quick snorkel, and after an hour, they all hop back on the boat and you go home and input all of that data. And if you do that with students for a couple of years, you might begin to form a little bit of an analysis or a baseline of information on the ecology of that system. And you can connect that to tourism you can connect that to economies through tourism, something we were talking about before, through sustainable tourism, wildlife tourism, all of those different ways. It's a very trivial task because you go to pay to see a leopard and you might not see it, but if you know that you've surveyed a site, for a couple of years and it has lots and lots of sharks, then you can definitively promote that as shark tourism, as they do in the Philippines, or Vietnam or Indonesia, and things like that. So Yeah,
And
there's lots of
as
those.
you said, Pablo, ReefCheck is all over the world. It's got about 100 different geographic countries involved, and 21,000 members at the moment. So that's pretty cool. I know that there's an active ReefCheck in Malaysia, definitely.
Indonesia, I've
and
met
Indonesia
them.
and Philippines, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
those are a bit closer to Madura.
yeah, I would reach out to those um, kind of arms. Unfortunately, with any global NGO, they have nationwide representation. So I would reach out to those different nations, depending on where you want to collaborate. Ask if they're interested in kind of integrating anything with any potential students, because it's a great idea. And it's how I got involved with ReefCheck through my local universities. And I know lots of different organizations like Coral Watch do very, very similar things in the
They
marine
do.
space.
Well done, Pablo. I think what I'd like to sort of wrap up with, in as far as you're concerned, is that citizen science is an important way that we're actually going to improve our world, isn't it? And just scientists can't do it alone. So the more that general people can do, the better off we're going to be in the future. So yeah, thank you for introducing us to ReefCheck, that actually allows us to actually be part of the solution, not just the problem. Yeah, so I think that's really super important. And the more that we can do to support you, please help. You're now part of the World of Wildlife team, so I hope you'll come back and give us updates from time to time. That'd be awesome. I think that's all the things I wanted to talk about. But let's give Pablo a big round of applause, virtual or otherwise. And then we had this other little thing we introduced a couple of months ago called Mara's Minutes, which was one of my interns suggested that we had 3 minutes at the end of our meeting to pick on one of you for an update on what you've been doing. So you've got 3 minutes to tell us what's going on. Linda.
Hello. My name is Linda Barnes, and I'm with Queensland Koala Crusaders, and we are a not-for-profit group in Southeast Queensland working to stem the tide towards extinction of the koala in Queensland. And what we're doing in a nutshell is we had, when we started with the organization 5 years ago, the organization was a community group doing plantings and education and citizen science engagement, and we quickly realized that if we're going to stop the koala from going extinct, we needed to lift our vision a bit. So about a year ago, we crafted the idea of a vision that we're calling Vision 2032, which is to take meaningful action to stop the slide towards extinction of the koala before the Olympics come to Queensland in 2032. And I'm happy to share that we just came from the Koala Conference in Port Macquarie, which was a national koala conference. And I was delighted to see that there are a ton of fascinating people, researchers doing amazing things for koalas to help koalas survive. And so what we did is came away with one tangible thing that we would like to do going forward. And it kind of dovetails into what Pablo was talking about with ReefCheck, is there's all these groups doing all these fascinating things and nobody knows what the others are doing. For example, we spoke to a researcher who is working on a project to learn more about gum trees that koalas actually feed on, and why they don't feed on another tree of the exact same species, and they're calling that the Gourmet Gum Leaf Project. The project's been going on for several years and no one knew about it. So one of our shining new goals for the next 12 months is to create a national database and a consolidation of all the effort, all the projects, all of the things that fascinating researchers are doing. They're doing the hard yards, they're answering difficult questions. And rather than have that information live in a little bubble with that particular uni or that particular group, we want to bring all of that information together so everybody can learn from one another and therefore make this goal happen a whole lot faster. So that in a nutshell is what we're working on.
Well done. You managed it in 3 minutes.
Yay.
That's amazing. And wouldn't it be wonderful to have that database that we can all interact with? it'll be fabulous. So I'm on board. I'm sure everyone else is on board who wants to get involved in that. Those children that are here, I'm hoping that you realize that you're the future of wildlife in Australia. And don't forget, you can get something from ReefCheck. And when it gets a bit warmer in Queensland, you can go for a bit of a swim and adopt your own little area of the reef to audit through your entire life. Wouldn't that be amazing? Amazing to do. So I hope everyone has enjoyed today. Our next meeting will be on the 10th of next month. Next month is, what are we on? That's September 10th. It's going to be at 3 p.m. On the 10th, and it'll be Ilka Brown, who has been working with Wong and just done her honours on sun bears. So we're going to hear an update on that one next month. So that'll be very cool. Linda, thanks for sharing your link in the chat. If there's anything else anyone else wants to share, please do so. And I look forward to seeing you all next month. Bye from me.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, bye all. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Thanks.